What is it? Smart man. I could use somebody who can operate under the radar around here. Whoever our mole is, he's been slippery. Whenever one of the MPs gets too close, he changes his habits. Our last lead went cold weeks ago. You want my advice? Start by talking to people with a lot of eyes in the field. People like Lieutenant Boyd, or Sergeant Contreras, maybe. Careful with Contreras, though. He's not above suspicion himself. Keep me apprised of any leads you get. This guy's gotten a lot of my men killed. I'm just itching to return the favor. Well, I'll leave that to you. But I would recommend Lieutenant Boyd and Sergeant Contreras as two people who usually know what's going on around here. Later.
You guys... What is it, soldier? Not big on reading name tags, huh? That's okay. My name is long and difficult. It's Boyd. Lieutenant Boyd to my friends. Colonel Shu has me handling the policing duties for the base. I've told him he could make my job... Sorry, this is state business, what I'm working on. Now, what kind of MP would I be if I didn't notice anything suspicious? I've had soldiers go AWOL, break-ins, thefts, you name it. Well, there's Anders. He's a ranger. That one's not suspicious so much as worrisome. He left on a dangerous assignment. Colonel Shu sent him out. Now I think he feels guilty not having any way to check up on him. I don't know him very well myself. I seem to remember that he was the man to call on if you needed someone to get in and get out quietly. Colonel Shu would really be the person to talk to. Maybe break-in isn't the right word. We didn't find signs of forced entry, but I've had reports of someone sneaking into the control tower at night. It's probably just a meeting spot for a steamy military base love affair. Kids today. But it bothers me that they didn't break in. It means they have an access code. Most soldiers around the base don't have that. Sure, if you want to investigate. It's not like there's anything to steal up there, just a bunch of old communications equipment. If you can find out any more, I'd be interested to hear it. There's something about this I really don't like, and if I weren't tied up here, I'd be staking it out personally. Not the kind of things you like to see go missing. No witnesses yet. I've got my money on Sergeant Contreras, who's supposed to be in charge of distribution, the little weasel. But he's too slick to let anyone catch him doing it. We've searched his possessions a dozen times. Nothing. Good. The more guns you can recover, the more I'll be able to use to shoot Contreras for being inept. Yep. See you around.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear...
A little busy at the moment, but I can talk. This? The OSI lab. We don't get many visitors. The smell puts people off, I think. Nobody ever said science would smell clean and fresh. Anyway, you get used to it if you give it some time. I know I don't sound the part. Get raised by Brahmin Ranch, but I know every inch of the power grid from Hoover Dam to Shady Sands. Some of the others are working on an agricultural project, but... Head researcher. Mostly on the dam project, but I... You mean give you work? No, that'd be up to the administrator. Between you and me, I don't think he ever leaves. Plenty of mercs go in to see him, though. I can't say. We're not supposed to talk about the research. Not the details. If you're interested, I'm sure he'd see you. Nice to meet you. If you need anything, I'm almost always in the lab. A little busy at the moment. This? Nobody ever... I know I don't sound the part. Get raised by Brahmin, but I know every inch of the power. Some of the others are working on an agricultural project. Head researcher. You mean give you work? Between you and me, I don't think he ever leaves. This? Nobody... You mean give you work? No, that'd be up to the administrator. Nice to meet you.
Hello. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Dr. Thomas Hildern, Director of Operations, OSI. Wonderful. Straight to it, then. Have you signed the release forms? No? Doesn't matter. We'll keep that to ourselves. Vault 22. Where to begin? Imagine, if you will, the wasteland in bloom. Vast fields of corn that grow from seeds and produce their bounty in the space of a month. Orchards of trees, their branches weighed halfway to the ground, hung with fat, ripe oranges, a harvest that could feed a city or a nation. And all this, requiring no more than a few drops of precious water, and the efforts of only a handful of human farmers. Impossible? Precisely. Science has proven that truth 1,000 times over. But how many wasteland savages believe it? Present company accepted, of course. The body I described to you is no idle fantasy. It exists in primitive form only a few miles from where we stand. We need only reach out and unlock its secret. For that, the OSI needs you. Good. I thought I sensed the kindred soul in you, beneath the wasteland veneer. I believe that the inhabitants of Vault 22 unlock the secrets of vegetative growth. Plants are spilling from their gate. No one tends them. No one waters them. Yet they multiply and spread in all directions. Find the reason for this miraculous growth, and I promise you the OSI will see that you are generously compensated. Good. No need to check in with the NCR authorities. I can authorize your payment from OSI accounts. Vaults typically contain a server room on a lower level, where they would have backed up their research data. A computer room, you understand? Download all the information on the central server to your Pip-Boy, and you'll be certain to bring me any notes or samples that you find, won't you? I thought it was a fairly straightforward assignment. It's a simple question of retrieving the data, which shouldn't prove overly challenging. Downloading the data will be handled by your Pip-Boy. You might think of yourself as a mere means of conveyance. No insult intended, of course. Oh? What might those be? The Office of Science and Industry. It's a rather expensive topic. I could talk for hours, but I'm sure I'd bore you. Suffice to say, we are the leading edge of the NCR. Our work focuses on practical matters: medicine, engineering, biology. The dam, for instance. OSI routes its energy supply to our cities in the West. That's only one responsibility of this office. Director of the entire OSI? Me? If I didn't know better, I'd say you were trying to plant seditious ideas in my head. No. I direct our eastern operations. I've been responsible for squeezing unprecedented levels of power from the dam. I'm also confronting the problem of food production in what little spare time I have, but I've found some promising leads. Yes, with the assistance of my team, of course. Not yet, but our government understands the value of proactive thought. Our studies project an imbalance between production and consumption. Or, for a layman such as yourself, not enough food, too many mouths to feed. Mass starvation in a decade or so. We aid some programs the Republic has sponsored involving sharecropper farms in the area. But those haven't panned out too well from what I hear. There have been complaints about the amount of water we're supplying. But those are just excuses for lack of diligence, I'm sure. Directly? No. But we attempt to maximize its output. You have no idea how difficult it is to provide power to an entire nation. Fortunately, we also have the Helios 1 facility. One of our external contractors recently got the station up and running. His name was something like Exceptional or Marvelous or... I see. Of course you did. To be frank, I have no idea. I leave the fighting to Colonel Shu, and I expect him to leave the science to me. Too many people have opinions on things they know nothing about. The more ignorant they are, the more opinions they have. Oh? What might those be? Yes. Goodbye.
Did Dr. Hildern... This really isn't any of my business, but... Did he give you a job? I shouldn't say anything. I know that. But you're not the first person Hildern sent out to the vault. There were a lot of mercs, one after another. None of them came back. Then about a week ago, there was a scientist, Keeley. She's unusual. Not the sort of person you'd expect. But she's an absolute genius, and he didn't mention her? Not even her name? Or any of the other mercs? But now he's hired you, which means one of two things. Either he heard back from Keeley, and she failed, or he's given up on her. Listen, I make a fair wage, but I'm not rich, not by any means. Maybe my kind of money wouldn't appeal to your average merc, but I'm willing to pay you if you'll find Keeley and make sure she's safe. Isn't right leaving her out there. No idea if she's alive or dead. I had a good feeling about you, moment you walked in. I mean it. Of course. Keeley's brilliant, an absolute genius. She plays at being mean, but it's all a front. When you've lived as long as she has, you get defensive around new people. Who wants to make a friend when you know you'll outlive them? I couldn't get her to say, but she talked about the war, the Great War, when the bombs fell, like she'd been there. So I'm guessing pretty old. 200 years? Maybe more. Like a Brahmin and a Deathclaw, though I'm not sure which would be which. Bad analogy, maybe. They're both Deathclaws in their way. Keeley hates Hildern. She says he's more politician than scientist, and gets in the way of true discovery. And Hildern hates Keeley because... well, because every time they meet, she makes him look like an ass. In front of important people, usually. Head researcher. Mostly on the dam project, but I help out on other things when they need me. Gotta be flexible. The director? He's very well-spoken and knowledgeable. He's not what you'd call warm, unless he wants something from you. And even then, it's kind of a cold warm. Most of the time, I focus on the science and try to forget him. He doesn't get mixed up in any actual work, though he tells people that he does. He sure does. Everyone knows it. I've just got to endure this job until the project is finished. But abandoning Keeley, he crossed a line. Taking credit for other people's work is one thing. Sending people to die in the waste is another. If Hildern tries to recruit any more mercs, I'm gonna warn them. What can he do to me? I'm the only one who can run this lab. My father used to say good things about them, but that was years ago. Back when they teach farmers and ranchers about crop rotation and the like. Nowadays, they've changed. They're doing what they can to discredit the NCR, give us a bad name with the locals. Dr. Hildern trained with them years ago. Not me, though. I'm an OSI girl. It's foul, to tell the truth. Most people try to get what they can from the outside, even if it's just a smuggled candy bar now and then. Contreras is a genius. He can find almost anything you'd want. Takes caps to get him motivated, though. He won't do a thing for free. Right. Stay safe.
Yes? Something else you needed? I never said you were. You've been speaking to Williams, haven't you? All right, I'll take you at your word. Williams didn't say anything at all. You just came to this conclusion on your own. No, you aren't the first person I've sent to the vault. I'm sorry that I neglected to tell you, but I don't see how it makes any difference. I'd have to consult my records. 8, 10... Your point is what? I have no evidence that they're dead. 1,000 things could have happened between here and the vault. They could have changed their minds and walked away. I wouldn't be much of a scientist if I leapt to conclusions without proof. No. Our agreement was very specific. You bring me the data, I give you a reward. We never discussed the... Now, I know you're... Yes? Something else you needed? Oh? What might those be? Williams is an admirable researcher. If she wasn't, I'd have terminated her contract, and she'd be begging for work from my former employers. Williams has a tendency to feel before she thinks, not in the lab, but everywhere else. That might be forgivable if she kept her concerns to herself, but she doesn't. That kind of behavior can undermine morale. She convinced my last contractor to quit. Probably didn't tell you that, did she? No. The OSI hasn't been around for very long. I received my training elsewhere. Before the bombs, I might have studied at any number of colleges, universities. They gave a man a chance to advance himself, or so I've heard. But after the bombs, until a few years ago, anyone with half a brain had one choice: the followers of the apocalypse. Didn't matter if you agreed with them or not. You either played along or you were turned away. Knowledge for knowledge's sake. A society of equals. They purport to be intelligent people, and then they spout this old-world dogma. Exactly right. Imagine what the followers could have accomplished if they were properly motivated, if they had a unified purpose. Those of us who founded the OSI, we wanted to put our knowledge to work, and we have to some degree. But the execs at OSI Central, they're still bound to the old ideas, society of equals and all that. There's still too little direction. If I can make real breakthroughs here, show the President what can be done when junior researchers are kept in line, kept focused on task. Who knows? Maybe I'll be sitting in OSI Central in a few years' time, and there'll be no more coddling of free spirits like our friend Williams. Yes, goodbye.
If you can find... Right.
Have you come to a decision on Lily? I'll need to know before I can do anything else. That's brilliant. Simple yet elegant. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Is there something else I can do for you? Promising, but I won't be able to synthesize the drug anytime soon. I really should get back to my work. Yes, yes.
Hello again, dear. Talk to you soon, dear. A cure for the Night Kid is supposed to be on the way.
Something on your mind? See you.
Better watch out. Lily's been babbling about her grandkids again. Dr. Henry's pretty smart. For a human.
Hello?
No run-ins with the Great Khans, I hope. They've been more restless than usual. Tough, independent, and as ruthless as they come. They're holed up in Red Rock Canyon, and it's this station's job to keep an eye on them. Keeping watch on the Great Khans, mostly. They usually stick around Red Rock Canyon, but at least one large group left recently. We called it in, but haven't heard anything about any Great Khan incidents. Whatever they're doing, they're keeping a low profile. Be careful out there.
anything, sweetie.